Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Roxanne. If it's your first time here, then welcome. I want to talk to you guys about the books that I finished in, or the books that I read and started in the month of September. Pretty good reading month actually. Didn't finish everything in my TBR, and added some books that were not in my TBR, but when does that not happen, right? The first book that I finished, I actually never got off my bookshelf. Hold on. Okay. The first book that I finished was One Day We'll All Be Dead and None of This Will Matter by Sargasso Sea. I loved this book. I thought it was hilarious. I laughed out loud multiple times. I think she is so honest and just very relatable at the same time. There were a lot of things that she talked about that I just absolutely loved and could really relate to as a person of color, as a woman, as the daughter to the type of father that we have. The relationship that she describes having with her father is one that I really related to because it's very similar to the relationship that I have with my dad. He can be a very difficult person, but you know, at the end of the day, he's still my dad and I love him. When she talks about hair, might seem like a very small thing, but it's something that I could really relate to. And it was just, I really enjoyed this. I knew that I would, but I definitely liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I finished it almost all in one sitting. I thought it was amazing. I really recommend it. It's a very quick read. It's not a very long book, and I think you'll learn a lot and get a really nice perspective out of this. So yeah, 5 out of 5 stars for this one. And I read The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I talked a little bit about this in one of my weekend reads, so I'll link that up above in the cards and down below. I didn't like this as much as I thought I was going to. The writing to me was just okay, whereas I really thought that beautiful, grand, atmospheric writing would have been so perfect and beautiful for the story. And I thought it was just okay. Sometimes I felt the writing was a bit like choppy too, which I didn't get along with particularly well. But I loved the discussions of gender, of different types of love, different types of relationships that you can have. I thought it talked about a lot of very important issues that I care about. But overall, as a story, I thought it would be, I don't know, I thought I would like it more. I'm still interested to see how the rest of the story goes, and I might pick up the rest of the series, but not in as big a hurry as I thought I would be going into it. So I thought it was okay. I gave it like a 3.75 out of 5 stars. Then I read and listened to on audiobook The Stranger Beside Me by Anne Rule. This is about Ted Bundy. Anne Rule worked with Ted Bundy for a while and considered him to be a friend, and so it's about him as a killer, and she brings a very particular experience because she knew him, and I thought it was great. I thought it was very interesting. I thought she researched it so thoroughly. There were times, and she addresses this. She added like an introduction or something to the beginning where she kind of goes back and clarifies some things that she might have said in her original book, or talks about how she feels differently as time has gone on. There are times when she sort of maybe overstates his brilliance, and seems, and despite the fact that she definitely says that she is sickened by everything that she did, she almost overstates his, I don't know, sometimes it sounded like almost like she was in awe a little bit too much, and I don't think she did that on purpose, and I don't actually think that she was in awe of him, but just the way that she described him and his intelligence and his charms, I think puts him above what he actually was as a person, as a killer. And she addresses that. She just does call him kind of like a genius sometimes, just in smarts. And she addresses that in her introduction. She's like, he really wasn't a genius. His IQ wasn't all that great. Like, wasn't anything, oh my God, or to rave about. And I think sometimes I saw some of the reviews that it was like she made it more about her, and I didn't really think that, because you gotta go into it realizing that she comes with a very interesting perspective. She knew this guy, and so while she hates everything that she did, she does admit that because she knew him, it was difficult for her to believe that the guy that she knew was the guy that was doing all of these things. And I never thought that was, she never kind of got victim blaming at all, ever, which was great, because the time in which this was written, victim blaming really wasn't a thing that people talked about. So I was worried that that might be there. I didn't really see it. Nor do I think that her sort of doubting that it was this guy, I didn't see that as victim blaming, because it was what any person who knows and is very friendly with, like, is very good friends with someone would probably think. If the news and other people are accusing this guy of doing something, you're gonna be like, wait, really? This guy I are you sure? Because you know this guy and you've never seen that side of him. So I think there was a very fine line there that I never really saw her cross, which was good, because I was like, I had my fists up, ready and looking for it almost. But yeah, I mean, other people might see it, and if you've read this and you saw that, then please mention it down below. Overall, I thought this was really good, really sort of engrossing, and it really shows you how it can be anybody, which I think ultimately was the point of her writing this book, was to show you that it can really be absolutely anybody that can turn into this type of person, or that can turn out to be this type of being. Then I started but did not finish and kind of gave up on Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Rees. I started to buddy read this with my friend Sarai, and neither of us really got into it. We were at least I was expecting to feel that sort of emotion and environment and atmosphere that Jane Eyre made me feel, and I really didn't feel it at all. I wasn't that interested in Antoinette as a character. I was actually more interested in the recently freed slaves around her, and I wanted to hear their story more than I did hers. So I honestly didn't end up really caring that much about what I was reading. I don't know that I'll get rid of this book just yet, but it definitely did not end up enjoying the parts that I read as much as I thought I would. I got about 50 pages in and then said, I got better things that I can read. So then I read my very first short story collection called Mundo QL by Luis Negron, and this is a bunch of short stories that explores homosexuality in Puerto Rico, in this small town in Puerto Rico. And at first I thought that the intention of this was to be shocking, maybe a little jarring, very sort of like meant to shock and to be titillating, and that kind of was going to be it. But the more you read into it, the deeper it becomes, and the more you realize that there's a purpose behind how vulgar it can be at times, and it's so like wholeheartedly Puerto Rican too, in just the very, very subtle ways, the things that it says. It just brought me back to living in the island and things that I know and experience and do or say myself or my family does. So that part of it was really, really great. And ultimately you learn about the way in which homosexuality is seen in Puerto Rico, and that can be translated into the way that the Latinx community sees homosexuality and queerness in general. I thought it ended up being very beautiful, and I liked it more than I knew that I was gonna like it. But then when I started reading, I thought maybe I'm not gonna like this that much, but then I ended up liking it as much as I thought I would. So I gave this like a 4 out of 5 stars, and it's really short, so there you go. Although I will say that people who are not Puerto Rican might not enjoy it as much, maybe, Like that's a possibility, just because there are a lot of subtleties in it that might not really resonate with you. Keep that in mind. I have seen non-Puerto Ricans that absolutely loved it though, so there you go. This past month, Lewis and I watched Strike, which is I think it's BBC, right? BBC's miniseries on the Corman Strike novels, the first two that are out, and I really enjoyed it. So I don't think I'm gonna do like a monthly favorites this month, but if I did, that would definitely be on there. I think you can find those online, and they're really good. I really enjoyed them, and I hate that I have to wait until like 2018 for the next ones, I think. So when I was watching it, I got into the mood to reread the series, because though I don't think they're the best mysteries ever written, I love them a lot. I really like them. And so this one was on audiobook, and I listened to it, and I liked it just as much as the first time I read it. Then I got partway through two books, one of which was in my TBR and one of which was not. Actually, I'm probably a lot more farther along in this, because I'm listening to a lot of it on audiobook, and I haven't checked to see what page I'm on in a while, but I got probably more than halfway through The Witches, Suspicion, Betrayal, and Hysteria in 1692 Salem by Stacy Schiff. And I'm really enjoying it. I think it's very well researched. I think she's giving a lot of context too, which is awesome, and I love anything witches, and it's just very interesting to me. So I'll be finishing this in probably the first day or two of October. Really liking it. And then I got 57 pages into Special Topics in Calamity Physics by Marisha Pessel, who also authored Night Film, which I loved and was one of my favorite reads of last year, maybe. I think, can't remember, but I really loved it, and so far I'm really enjoying this too. There's one thing that she does that's kind of getting really annoying, which is she capitalizes random things a lot, just like I guess to emphasize their importance, but that kind of loses its power once you do it as much as she's doing it. It's gotten a little annoying. It doesn't really bother me that much to like deduct like a star or anything yet, but yeah, otherwise I'm really enjoying it, and I'm loving the writing, as I did with Night Film. So I'll be finishing this one in the month of October as well. So those are the books that I read in the month of September. Let me know if you've read any of them and what you thought. Let me know what you read in the month of September. I have a lot of information down in the description bar for places that you can donate to organizations and people that are making efforts to help the people in the situation that's happening in Puerto Rico, in the Caribbean, and in Mexico. If you have the time, the means, please read up on it, donate if you can. If not, please spread the word. That'll all be down in the description bar. If you also want to follow me on Twitter, I retweet a lot of information, news articles, opinion pieces, things like that as well on Twitter. And I'm very active there as well. As always, thank you for watching and for listening. Love you guys.